actually like to start my speech off with a question to you all. So when you hear the word synchronicity, what does it evoke in you? Any particular emotions, or what does it mean to you?
Alignment.
Okay.
Harmony.
Harmony. Okay. I'll take one more. Unity. Okay. So, some of you may have experienced a time in your life where you felt that events sort of aligned in a way that you couldn't really explain, and you felt this sense of awe. You felt as though some outside guiding force must have been involved. So synchronicity is actually a term coined by psychologist Carl Jung, and he explains it simply by saying that synchronous events are these coincidences that occur with no perceptible causal relationship, yet they seem to be meaningfully related. Today, I'm going to talk about my most synchronous event or moment to date. As a child, I spent my days outside of the apartment building where I lived, frolicking in the park. I look back on these days with a sense of wonder and excitement. As I grew older, I longed to re-experience the sense of pure freedom and adventure. So last year, I finally set out to do just that. I was about 4 months into my backpacking adventure through Central America. I felt I had seen and experienced a lot of what I had set out to do, but I still felt like I was missing a real, true adventure. I wanted to go on some sort of expedition where I could feel like Jane Goodall playing in the jungle. So by this point in my trip, I no longer had a scheduled itinerary, so I decided to just go with the flow and see where life would lead me. I had a contact in a very small town in Nicaragua called Matagalpa, so I decided to go there. And as soon as I arrived, I knew it was a good place to settle for the next few months. The streets were quaint and narrow, there didn't seem to be very much tourism activity, and the local population was lively. I felt right at home. Now, being in Nicaragua's coffee and cacao capital, I spent my days frequenting little coffee shops and chocolaterias. And through a series of inexplicable chance encounters with some locals at a bar who referred me to a community center where I met some expats, I found myself at Fundación Científica Cultural Ulua Matagalpa, the main research point for archaeological and anthropological research for all of Nicaragua. The stars had aligned. Now, you may be picturing a huge research building like some of the ones here in downtown Toronto, but this research center was simply a room in a house that acted as a meeting spot for indigenous Nicaraguans of the town. As I entered this house, I knew I was at the beginning of something awesome. There were bookshelves lined with anthropologic texts and glass cabinets with artifacts from previous expeditions. It was everything I'd imagined. The team immediately made me feel welcome. They gave me a quick tour. And as our exchange continued, they mentioned that their upcoming research expedition was to take place in 6 weeks. 6 weeks? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was filled with excitement and anticipation. I immediately told them that I wanted to join, and they accepted. I couldn't believe what had just taken place. What are the chances that I would end up in this small town, meet some people at a bar who would refer me to some other people, that I would end up at this research center, and that the expedition would be happening within a time frame that I could attend? In the words of Paulo Coelho, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. The 6 weeks flew by, and soon I was sitting at the front of a narrow wooden boat carved out of a log, riding up Rio Coco, located at the border between Honduras and Nicaragua, on what would be an 8-hour journey to Uluwaskin tribal territory. Our research objective was to find evidence of a time where it was posited that this tribe had a matriarchal social structure. And what we were going to do is we were going to look for ceramic materials that had been shaped with particular snake heads to depict this era. Upon arrival to the village, the community all greeted us at the foot of the river. They took our belongings and helped us over to the casita, which would be our home for the next week. Our days were spent interviewing locals and finding areas to excavate where we might find promising remains. At the end of the week, our minds and souls were full of insightful experiences, and our boat was full of all the stuff we found in the ground. Coming home to Toronto soon after the expedition, I felt so lucky to have satisfied a desire of my inner child and fulfilled a long-held dream of mine. I felt like a point of tension had been released and I had been through a coming of age. Now I continue to seek ways to merge my inner child's desires of adventure and play with my adult-sized desires to set and achieve goals and live a meaningful, successful life. Concluding with the words of Paulo Coelho, be brave, take risks, nothing can substitute experience. Thank you.